The rhythm was steady, unrelenting. A woman's voice breathless, desperate, moaning his name like a prayer. The sound of a headboard hitting the wall, over and over in perfect time. I used to listen with curiosity, wondering what it would feel like, wondering what he did to them. Now I didn't have to wonder, because last night I was one of them. And if I wanted, I could be again. All it would take was a knock. Before we dive in, please take a second to like the video and subscribe. It's quick, effortless, and helps the channel more than, I truly appreciate your support. Now let's begin. It started with a murmur, low, steady. Confident then a woman's reply. Soft and breathless, I couldn't make out the words. But I could hear the anticipation in her voice. Then came the first moan, sharp breaking. Completely unrestrained, the headboard hit the wall. Slow at first, then faster. In perfect rhythm with her gasps. No hesitation, no awkwardness. Just pure, overwhelming pleasure. I lay frozen, my breath shallow, heat curling through me. This wasn't normal. I had overheard neighbors before. Quick, forgettable moments. But this was something else. And it was happening every night. Different voices, different women, but the same desperate, uncontrollable sounds. I turned onto my side, pressing my thighs together. My pulse unsteady, I should have drowned it out. But I didn't, I listened. And with every gasp that slipped through the thin walls, one thought burned hotter in my mind. What was he doing to them, and why did I suddenly wish it were me? By day, he was forgettable. Quiet, self-contained, never drawing attention. But at night, when the walls came alive with pleasure, he became something else entirely. I had only seen him a handful of times. Tall, broad-shouldered, effortlessly composed, older. Maybe mid-50s, but commanding in a way that younger men weren't. Women never stayed long, but they always left looking changed. I tried not to stare when we crossed paths, but I noticed everything, the way he moved unruffled. Assured, the way he spoke low, deliberate, like every word mattered. And most of all, the way he looked at people like he already knew their secrets. I told myself I wasn't obsessed. But I was, and then one night, I turned the corner and nearly walked straight into him. Up close, he smelled clean. Warm, expensive. He didn't step back, just held my gaze. A smirk tugging at his lips. Thin walls. My breath hitched, he knew. His smirk lingered, but he didn't wait for a response. He just walked past me, his footsteps slow, deliberate. I stood frozen, my fingers tightening around my keys, my pulse hammering in my throat. Thin walls, 2 words. Yet they unraveled everything he knew. He had known for a while. I forced myself to exhale, pretending it didn't affect me, pretending I wasn't burning with embarrassment and something else. But as I turned to unlock my door, I caught at a glance over his shoulder. A smirk, like he was waiting for me to say something. I didn't. I locked myself inside, pressing my back against the door. Heart racing, it was one thing to listen, another thing to be caught, but now it was impossible to ignore him. The next night, the sounds started again, but they felt different now, louder. Sharper, or maybe I was just listening harder. The woman's moans cut through the silence. Breathy, desperate. Almost ruined. The steady rhythm against the wall was unrelenting. I squeezed my thighs together, my breath's shallow heat curling low in my stomach. Had he always been this intense? Or was this for me? I turned, pressing my palm lightly against the wall, my body burning restless. I imagined him on the other side, his body moving against hers, his voice low, commanding, saying things I couldn't quite hear. My hand drifted lower before I could stop myself. I let my legs fall open, breath hitching as my fingers moved in slow circles, matching the rhythm against the wall. It was easy to pretend, easy to imagine that it was me, that his hands were on me, that his voice was whispering in my ear. The woman cried out a sharp, broken sound. I muffled my own moan against my wrist. The heat built quickly, the pressure unbearable. My body clenched, pleasure crashing through me in waves. I bit my lip, shuddering, breathless, my pulse pounding in my ears. And yet, even as my body relaxed, the ache inside me didn't fade. I was done waiting. I had to know tomorrow I would make a move. All day, anticipation thrummed beneath my skin. I wasn't nervous, I was ready. Every time I heard a door shut, footsteps in the hallway, I wondered if it was him, if he was thinking about me the way I had been thinking about him, if he was waiting for me to make a move, or if he already knew I would. By the time the evening came, my pulse was steady, my decision made. I stepped out just as he did, like fate had aligned the moment for us. He paused, his gaze settling on me with amusement. Twice in 2 days, he mused. "You sure you're not following me?" I let my lips curve into something playful. "Would that bother you?" His smirk deepened. "Depends on your intentions." I tilted my head slightly. Holding his stare, I was thinking, since we're neighbors, maybe we should have dinner sometime. Get to know each other properly. A beat of silence, not hesitation, calculation. He was reading me, weighing my words, deciding if I understood exactly what I was asking for. Then a small nod. "Tomorrow, my place." He didn't ask, he told me. A spark shot through me, heat curling low in my stomach. Sounds perfect, I turned first, walking away without looking back. But I didn't need to. I could feel his eyes on me the entire way tomorrow. His door was already open when I arrived. Not wide, just enough to let me know he'd been waiting. He stood in the doorway, leaning against the frame, watching me with that same unreadable smirk. Like he knew exactly why I was here. Like he had known all along. Right on time, he said, stepping aside to let me in. The apartment was exactly what I expected, minimal. Clean, effortless, no clutter, no distractions. Like a man who didn't let anything into his life unless he wanted it. There, the scent of something rich and well-cooked lingered in the air. Steak? Maybe a man who knew how to feed a woman before he devoured her. "You cook?" I teased. Walking past him, I like control over what I consume. His voice was smooth, deliberate. "Don't you?" My pulse kicked up. But I didn't let it show, not yet. I took a seat at the small dining table, crossing my legs slowly, watching as he poured the wine. He was unrushed, measured, completely in command of the moment. "So tell me," he said, setting a glass in front of me, "are you always this curious about your neighbors?" I let my fingers trace the rim of the glass, tilting my head slightly. "Only the ones worth being curious about." His lips twitched in amusement. "And what exactly caught your attention?" I took a slow sip of wine, holding his gaze over the rim the way you make women sound. That was the first time he paused, just for a fraction of a second. His gaze darkened, the amusement in his smirk sharpening into something more dangerous. "And how do I make them sound ruined? Worshipped, completely undone?" I didn't say any of that, I just smiled. Happy, he let out a quiet chuckle. Swirling his wine. "Good to know my reputation precedes me." I hummed, taking another sip. It's hard not to notice there was no small talk after that. No need for it. The air between us was already thick with something else. He ate slowly, his gaze flicking to me between bites, as if watching to see how long I could hold out. I held my own, making him wait, making him work for it. But when I finished my last sip of wine and set the glass down, he stood. "Come here," 2 words. No question. Just a command. Heat surged through me as I rose from my seat, pulse hammering as he took my hand and LED'd me toward the bedroom. I didn't hesitate. I didn't want to... The bedroom was dimly lit, the scent of his cologne still lingering in the air. Everything about the space was controlled. Intentional, just like him. He closed the door behind me with an almost lazy motion. But there was nothing lazy about the way he watched me, like he knew exactly what was going to happen next. I barely had time to process the heat in his gaze before he moved. One moment I was standing still, anticipation thrumming through my veins. The next, his hands were on me, firm, steady, decisive. He guided me backward, his grip a silent instruction, his touch confident but unhurried. He wasn't just leading me. He was claiming me when the backs of my knees hit the bed. He didn't push. He just stood there looking at me, waiting for me to decide how this was going to happen. I sat down first. That was all the permission he needed. His mouth met mine in an instant. Not hesitant, not testing. But taking... The kiss was deep, slow. A deliberate unraveling. He didn't rush. He made me feel every second of it, like he wanted me to understand without words that he was in control. His hands slid lower, gripping my hips as he eased me onto my back, his weight pressing me down, anchoring me to the mattress, solid, grounded. My body was already burning, already restless, but he wasn't in any hurry. He wanted me to squirm for it. His lips left a heated trail down my neck, his stubble rough against my skin. Every kiss, every brush of his mouth was precise. Like he was mapping me, learning exactly where to linger, exactly how to break me apart. Then he flipped me. It was effortless. 1 second I was beneath him. The next I was on my stomach, his hands gripping my hips, pulling me up just enough to arch my back. "Stay there," he murmured, his voice laced with quiet authority. Heat surged through me, my breath catching as his hands skimmed down my spine. Slow and teasing, he wasn't just touching me. He was controlling how I moved. His grip was firm but unhurried, adjusting my position with the kind of expertise that made my head spin. When he finally moved against me, the first stroke stole the breath from my lungs. His grip tightened, fingers digging into my waist as he set the pace. Slow at first, so torturously slow that my nails curled into the sheets. But then just when I thought I could adjust, he changed it. He adjusted his angle, his grip, the way he controlled my movements. And suddenly it wasn't just good. It was devastating. Every movement pushed me deeper into sensation, his control absolute, like he knew exactly when to slow down, exactly when to push harder, exactly when to make me beg for more. I moaned before I could stop myself. "That's it," he murmured, his voice rough with satisfaction. "Let me hear you?" He moved again. A slight shift, a change in depth. And my body shattered. I gasped, fingers gripping the sheets, my back arching as pleasure crashed through me. Not soft, not gentle. A sharp, unrelenting wave. He felt it when my body tensed around him, felt the way I clenched down, how my legs trembled. But he wasn't done. I barely had time to recover before he flipped me again, spreading my thighs apart, with the ease of a man who wasn't finished, until he had wrung every last drop of pleasure from me. Now he wanted to watch. He hovered above me, his hands gripping my wrists, pinning them beside my head, not trapping me but holding me exactly where he wanted me. His gaze flickered over me, studying every reaction, every breathless gasp. And then he moved again, slow, intentional. Completely in control. I felt my body tightening again, the pressure building too quickly. Too intensely, his pace never faltered. His grip never loosened. He was relentless, his control unwavering as he chased my next release. He was watching me fall apart beneath him, and he wasn't letting up until I gave him everything. When the second wave hit, it was blinding. My breath broke, my body tensed. My head tilting back as pleasure tore through me, leaving me shaking beneath him. I had never been touched like this. I had never been handled like this. By the time he reached his own peak, his control cracked just enough for me to feel the rawness beneath it. His groan was deep guttural, his fingers tightening around my wrists as he finally let go. For a long moment, neither of us moved. The only sound in the room was our breathing. Heavy and uneven, his fingers trailed down my arm, slow. Almost lazy now, as if memorizing the aftermath. I was still trembling, still sensitive. My body completely spent. I had never been this wrecked. And then finally he chuckled, low, satisfied. "You were curious," he murmured, brushing his lips against my ear. "Was it everything you imagined?" I exhaled a slow, blissed-out breath. My body completely spent, completely satisfied. A small, contented smirk played on my lips. Better. The first time should have been enough. But it wasn't the next night I heard it again. The same rhythm, the same broken cries, the same overwhelming pleasure bleeding through the walls. But this time it didn't leave me restless. It didn't leave me aching with curiosity or frustration, because now I knew I had felt it myself. I had been one of them, and I could be again whenever I wanted. All it would take was a knock. I lay in bed, the scent of him still clinging to my sheets. My skin still sensitive from the night before. My body ached not from exhaustion, but from satisfaction deep, undeniable. Complete. And yet, I was already thinking about the next time. I turned onto my side, pressing my palm against the wall. The rhythm next door was steady, unrelenting. I could picture it perfectly. The way he moved, the way he owned every moment. The way he could wreck a woman and put her back together in the same breath. The woman on the other side gasped, her voice raw, desperate. I smirked. That had been me last night. And tomorrow it could be me again. I didn't have to wonder anymore. I belonged to that world now. And all I had to do was knock. Every man has a secret to keeping a woman hooked. Some call it confidence, some call it skill. But what do you think really makes the difference? Drop a comment below. I want to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this story, like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon. You won't want to miss what's next. See you soon.